Morning. Hope you're all okay. It's lovely to be back. I'm just checking that I'm where I'm supposed to be, but I can never find my own group to check this. And Jade's not here yet because she's at the orthodontist with Imogen. Yep, I'm there. So, morning. Missed you all last week. We had the Queen's funeral, obviously, and then we had Strategy Day, which was just brilliant. So I think there were 9 of us all going through our business plans for the next 90 days. And it was great. There were a couple of new people who haven't been to one before. Know what I'm talking about. Hey, Anisha, we missed you. And yeah, it was fabulous. So our next one is scheduled for January. Morning, Jade. How are you? Have you got your strategy plan out yet? I already know the answer. I'm going to be checking in with you all today. So today's live is going to be talking about how to deal with challenges, because there are shitloads of them all the time in all aspects of your life and business. And I'm kind of going to talk about the ones that I hear the most often, the ones I come up against the most. And have a little chat with you about those. Feel free to comment, feel free to ask questions, feel free to jump in with your own advice, because that's definitely what we're about here. So a huge list. So I'm going to talk about the first challenge that I hear when running a business all the time is, I ain't got enough time. This was mine for ages. And so much of this really, really does depend what your life stage is. So when I had little kids, my time was spent very, very differently to what it is now. I sort of feel like this last year, I have got into the best time routine. I've narrowed my focus. My kids are at school, so I have school time to actually work properly. I feel like this year is the time that I've nailed my time excuse the best, but I still faff around all the time. Morning, Sal. Don't do it. Your business plan is entirely solid. Go to your strategy. And here I am to fix all of your worldly problems. Right, so time is, it's always going to be there. There will always be other things that we could be doing with our time. There will always be more things that we could be doing with our time. My top tips on stuff around this is prioritize your tasks. Like the strategy day was a huge thing for that, about what is my next step. If you don't know what you're working towards, how can you work towards anything? So make sure you're prioritizing your tasks and make sure you know what you are doing before you sit down to do any work. And a big part of this is, don't fob yourself off with working when you're tidying your desk, or I've just spent 10 minutes tidying my cupboard out because Jade's not here to keep me accountable, and because I was like killing 10 minutes before this live started. So I've cleared my cupboard out, which is a perfectly useful job. It's pointless. It is not what I could be doing when I'm in my work time. That is stuff I can faff around with the rest of the time. So you prioritize your tasks. The Eisenhower box, I can put a link in for that, is the way I do that. Let's see if I can show you mine right now, although it is not up to date, because that will be one of my first tasks when I get off this that I should have done instead of cleaning my cupboard out. So my Eisenhower box is there. So we talk about the tasks that are most important, urgent, and less so. I will redo mine today and I will put a photo in and show you. So my beautiful, remarkable. So yeah, make sure you prioritize. One of my golden things that I say to myself all the time about what I'm doing with my time is, if it doesn't help me earn money, become a better person, or bring me joy, stop doing it. The freaking endless Facebook scroll does none of those things for me. I can fob it off in my head as I'm working, or there is no other reason to be on there. If it doesn't help you earn money, become a better person, or bring you joy, stop it immediately. And if you need to use a tool like the whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get on with your freaking life. Well done, Jade. It's all the little steps. I don't know where my plan is because I've just cleaned my desk out now. I don't know what I've done with it. Get on top of your distractions. So those few minutes that are distracted by watching a TV show, playing games on your phone, Even, do you know what? Even meaningless conversation, watching videos like me, if I am not useful, don't watch me. Don't spend your time doing stuff that is not useful for you at that moment. You kind of can't master your time management stuff until you get that strength to switch off from distractions, to turn them off intentionally, turn your notifications off, do whatever it takes for you to claim your time back. Because this idea of lack of time, the fact is we all have the same amount of time as everybody else in the whole world. We might have different responsibilities, but there's always a but. My whole thing was over lockdown, when I had all my time removed, when I had to homeschool my children, I started getting up at 5 a.m. because if I didn't, there was no time created for me. And it's a thing that's actually continued and is great, and I love it. But that was born from a absolute truth of I don't have time now that my children are at home all the time. That was born from a truth that I decided to do something about. And I lied to myself for like a couple of weeks that I'll work in the evening, but I'm too tired by then. It just doesn't work for me. So much of this is we all have the same amount of time. We have different responsibilities, but we still can create and block our time wherever we choose to. And then another kind of big bit for me is identify where you're being inefficient. How many times a day do you backtrack and redo something, or start something and move on to something else, and then remember you have to go back to it? Changing the bed for me yesterday, great example. Strip my bed, put it all in the wash, wonderful. Get to bed at night, there's no freaking covers on my bed. And it's that might not be so much of causing me to backtrack, but it's stealing time when I'd not almost accounted for it. So it's this idea of look for your inefficiencies, what doesn't work for you. And lots of that might flow over into being organised in the first place. Okay, so lack of time, they're my kind of top tips. Anyone got any questions about time? Next one is that I'm going to go on to, is always in business, the whole challenge of lack of funds, lack of money. And especially at the start of a business, this comes around a lot. And generally, when I'm talking to people, they are working almost before they've had any money from a client. And that's, as a small business, that's a really, really tricky way to behave. So I want you to kind of accelerate your receivables, accelerate the money that's coming in. Ask new customers for deposit or partial payment up front. And if you're in a product-based business, that's almost a non-negotiable. Like Jade, you're a cake maker. If you're not taking a good deposit, then the booking isn't confirmed for me. And payment for the whole cake is still in advance because you've spent the time and money doing it. All of my coaching sessions, you have to pay before we have the session. That's just how it is. But lots of people don't want to ask for money up front, and it's a mistake, I think. Even for clients booking appointments, so like Sally, for yours, taking a deposit will lower your rate of no-shows. It helps with your cash flow coming in. It's something that is a perfectly accepted way of practice nowadays. So yeah, get your money in faster. Start sending your invoices early. Huge part. Another big bit is slash your expenses. And this seems so obvious, but when I first started a business, I was convinced, shall we say, that there were tools and things I needed to spend money on to help me be successful. Now you will hear me talk about, as a new young business, the two things probably that I would suggest spending money on at the beginning is Canva Pro, which is 10 quid a month-ish. Canva Pro is amazing. And a scheduling software for social media. So something like Social Bee, which again, I talk about all the time. Because the return you get for that is so worth it. So look at the money, where you're putting your money. So things like a website at the beginning, although I advocate every business having a website, you can get a free one to start with. And to start with, that's the right thing until it's worth it for your business, until you've created the money to be able to invest it again. Notification tips massively help me. Yep, so my notifications are off. They're off on my watch now. I have, the school app one. I have Do Not Disturb on my phone, and I can push certain phone numbers to be able to come through that. So the only one now is school. When my nan was ill, my mum was on it as well. But now the only notification to come through that is school. But even that idea of a special ringtone, that's a genius idea. Yeah, taking away the interruption part of time is a huge thing because it takes ages to get back on track again. So going back to expenses, really look at your bank account and check what you need. There were so many things I was paying for at the beginning that I didn't need to be. And there are so many more ways to cut that than you can think sometimes. So yeah, where possible, slash your expenses. I am a big advocate of profit first. So if you don't know the concept, go Google it. You don't have to buy the book. Exactly, you don't have to buy it. Go Google the concept. But the idea is that you separate all your income into kind of areas to cover off what you need and to ensure you're making a profit and to make sure your business is running only from the operating profit that you've let it, because the temptation is, if you have money in your bank account, to reinvest it, to bring it back into your business. And then you end up not paying yourself a wage, not making any actual profit. Lack of funds is always a tricky one. I refuse to believe that you can't create something out of nothing. There's always a little course you could create. There's always something you could do to get some money in right now. I promise you that. And if you're stuck for ideas, come and ask. Morning, Katie. I haven't seen you for ages. How are you? Katie's got a boot off now and she's got 2 feet again. Another challenge, and Sally has already talked about this. Another challenge is staying positive in your business, because you can feel when a business owner's negative, but it affects how you feel about your business as well. So my tips on staying positive are: avoid what ifs. If all you can think of is the stuff that might go wrong, it's only going to lead you down a bad path. What ifs are basically anxiety. You're predicting things that haven't happened. You're predicting things that probably will never happen. They're just such a waste of your life. And if you are noticing that you do them, my answer to those is always, well, what if that doesn't happen? Don't allow yourself to get sucked down what ifs, because there are so many of them. They can happen to all of us all the time. What if COVID closes all down again? What if a million things that could happen to us all? Pointless, dangerous way to live your life, basically. You're heading for kind of anxiety and a huge negative mindset. Add into that the whole idea of what you focus on is what you get. If you're focusing on the negatives, they grow, you highlight them, you notice more of them. So avoid the what ifs. Mega one, keep a sense of humor. Like, how many times I have had to laugh at myself for getting myself in a situation that I was like, how the fuck did this happen? And I don't necessarily mean a scary financial one, but in situations that I just don't want to be in, that I'm committing to stuff I don't want to do, that I've cocked up an email. Jade sent out one of our email newsletters a few weeks ago, you may remember, on a Monday, because she was sending me the test, but she sent it to everyone. And it's just, shit happens, doesn't freaking matter. Like, she was really upset and worried about this. It's just not a thing. Like, my ideal clients will also laugh or roll their eyes or just not even care a little bit. So just keep your sense of humor and find the irony on stuff. It happens to all of us. I couldn't care less that the email got sent out. It's just not a thing. Yes, so this whole what you focus on is what you get is basically law of attraction. I don't know why everyone feels the need to mystify it and make it more complicated. So basically, science shows what we are thinking about or what is in our conscious awareness, we notice more of. So say you have a lucky number, you're more likely to see that number everywhere because you've assigned some sort of emotional attachment to it. Studies show we see random amounts of numbers, but we focus on the one that we are looking for. Same as if you get a new car, you see that car everywhere. You call your child a name, suddenly there's loads of them. That is law of attraction. It is basically whatever you've pulled into your conscious mind, you notice more of. So negative shit, so you start noticing more negative stuff. You notice more negative stuff. It is basically that. What it's law of attraction is what you focus on is what you get. And I've seen it repeated a billion times over. I entirely stand by that being the truth. Sally, feeling overwhelmed today, but I've just recognised other people shouldn't make you feel like this. Don't let others take your power. It's almost even lower than that. Is no one can take your power. No one has that ability at all. So it's not even about not letting them. It's they don't have the ability. You're giving it them. It's like, hang on one goddamn minute here. I feel very sweary this morning. Hang on a little minute. I'm not going to give you this. Like, people can cause you to wobble at the slightest thing. And all of that whole thing circles back to that whole internal validation versus caring what everyone else thinks. It's like, I do things because I feel like that's the right thing. I enjoy doing them, etc., etc. Not about what everyone else thinks. If I did stuff what everyone else thinks, I definitely wouldn't be doing this right now. And it starts off as young as like a kid. Your parents tell you what job you should have, blah, blah, blah. No, this is all about I've got my power. I'll give it you, or I won't. And I won't is always the healthy answer. So yeah, no one can take it. No one can take it. It's not possible. Yeah, you get to choose if you give it them or not. Combining therapy with business advice. That's what I do. In terms of staying positive, be proactive. Like, I know when I sit back, some days it's necessary. Some days I want a bit of recovery time. I'm feeling a bit like that today, but I haven't really got a reason. Well, I have, but it's irrelevant anyway. But if you're not just having recovery time, get proactive. Don't wait for things to happen to you. Go out and figure out how you make them happen. I talk to lots of people who sort of tell me a few things that they've tried and whatever they wanted hasn't happened. So they stopped. And it's that idea of that whole stupid meme that you see all the time about this guy digging through a mine. And it's that, and there's diamonds just this close. And it's that idea of you never know how close you are. You don't. You've no idea how close you are. This idea of you take control. Just like I said to Sally about don't give away your power. Actually use it. Put on your Bridgets. That's a great plan. So I'm veering into therapy now, but it's sort of not even that to me. It's just a bit of a shrug, and I let them crack on with their stuff and I'll crack on with mine. And it's almost like I ain't even got I don't care enough to even stress about them. It's just all right, I get on with my life now, thanks. I ain't even got the energy to pull up Bridgets. It's basically just ignoring them. Ooh, hey, let me see if I can see who this is. Jenna, it's not seeing you again. Externally validating, huge one for you. Will encourage your imposter syndrome in business. Love more advice on that. The whole external validation thing. I just had a client this morning. I was just talking about it loads. This idea that it matters more what somebody else thinks of you than what you think of yourself just blows my mind. So how many women I work with who genuinely seem to care more about what Fred at work thinks about you and your the quality of your work, who you are as a person. The fact that most of you, I'm generalizing, most of the women I work with care more about what Fred thinks and what they actually think. It's just astounding to me. This idea that it genuinely only matters what I think about myself. Like, that's the rule for all of life, surely. So I'll do something that fucks Tom off. And it's the idea of, right, do I still stand by that I did it for the right reasons? I thought it was a good thing. Am I okay with whatever I did? And if I'm okay with whatever I did, then sorry, darling, that's my decision entirely. And it's this, why are we putting anyone else's opinions above our own? It's almost not having the confidence to just believe I know, or I am doing my best in that situation. Not even necessarily you know best, because there might be times where you think, I could have done something really differently there. But this idea that it's only my opinion that actually matters. Because, and I don't know how to balance that up with the whole not being cocky thing, because my whole opinion is, did I do the best for my client? Yes. Do I have any control over what they do next? Kind of no. I might have some influence. I might have a bit of an ability to sway, But if I can say I did my best, we had a good session, I did my best there, I put my whole effort and heart into it, then it still only matters if that client goes away and sort of thinks I really didn't get anything from that. Their opinion is still less valid than whether I felt like I could do any more. And if I felt like I could do any more, that's a different story. But this is what I'm talking about with the whole imposter syndrome, is only your opinion matters. And you might have to learn how to play the game, and you might have to show up to do things that you don't want to do. But still, the defining point of whether you did a good job, etc., is your opinion only. I'll try and do a bit of stuff on imposter syndrome, but it's such a load of bollocks. It's that idea of who gets to say what playing field I can come on, who gets to say this stuff apart from you. And I don't know why we're not buying into that. Okay. So yeah, be proactive, go out and get the stuff, or at least keep chasing it until either you change your mind, you decide it's a bad idea now, you move focus and do something differently, but don't give up because it's not happening yet. Because especially in business, it's rarely like that. You'll see a lot of smoke and mirrors out there. It is rarely like that. I'm 8 years into business now, and I'm finally at a stage where I love everything I'm doing, everything. It's taken 8 years to get there, but people don't see that. People see me front and center doing some things, but it's sort of like, no, I'm so much happier doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, be proactive. Don't blame others. This is part of internal validation to a degree, but that whole "a good workman never blames his tools" situation. Other people aren't responsible for you and your stuff. Other people can directly influence what happens, but there's a massive difference between blaming them and acknowledging your own kind of part in this. We can all blame COVID for lots of things. By blaming stuff, again, you're externally validating, you're allowing external forces to be in control of you. And it's this idea that, okay, that failed, and it can just be a that failed, so I'll try something different. It don't have to be an I failed, and it don't have to be I failed because they didn't do their stuff. It can just be a that failed, what's next? And keep your mindset off, keep away from the whole blame culture and the whole kind of negative town stuff that's there. Another massive one about staying positive is accept help. I cannot describe how many clients I see, especially for therapy, and I always say I'm contactable between sessions. If you want something, just drop me a message. I'll reply when I can. The massive difference in where people move to between the ones who accept the help and lean in and ask for some extra support versus the ones that don't, is huge, massive. We worry, or lots of people worry about being a burden on someone else or overstepping boundaries or whatever. Recognize that someone else's to manage. My boundaries are mine to manage. You can ask for help. I can decide when and how to give it you. Not leaning in for help, this idea that you're a lone wolf and can do everything by yourself, I bought into for such a long time. Now I'm the first person to be texting people saying, have you got this? Can you help me with this? Everything gets done faster. Like even down to, I need to know how to set up an email list. So I'll spend 12 hours Googling instead of asking in Filth Free Business and getting a quick answer. So many people are scared to get help, and they feel like they should be looking for it themselves. And it's such a load of tosh. It's just entirely not true. It's like the smart people will always ask someone who's already done it, because it's so much quicker than learning how to do it yourself. Yes, Sally, I'm talking directly to you. Just ask. That is literally, I've built a community because I want people to ask, and still I get private messages asking me things so that I can't share them with the group. That's most of you in here, or certainly most of you that I've worked directly with. It's so daft. Like, a huge part of being positive is asking for help. Me, I'm like, oh, that's so clever. And then you can share the fact I know how to do it with other people, and you're directly helping me back. And it all becomes a lovely little circle. But this idea of I need to learn how to do it myself is so untrue. Another thing about staying positive is the whole being grateful for everything you've got. And this directly ties back to the law of attraction and what you focus on, what you get, that I was speaking about earlier. The more you look to be grateful about something, the more stuff you find. And it's a really underestimated tool about how lovely you can make your life when you look at all the nice things that you've got in it. And all the stuff that's going well in your business. I know that's not your responsibility, Katie. You can ask a question. I had a client message me yesterday morning, one of the guys I work with for therapy, and I didn't even, I saw his message was saying, have you got 5? And I knew he was going to ask if I'd got 5 minutes to have a chat next week. He would never put a big pressure on, but I didn't want to reply then because I knew I had to get my calendar, I had to look it all up. So I just didn't read his message till it suited me. And then I replied and sorted it all out. But it's that idea that him not messaging me would be way worse for me, but it still means I get to manage my boundaries if I didn't jump to reply while I was in home family time. Everybody's got busy lives, but you're choosing to kind of hurt yourself by not leaning in. And you have to recognize that as a choice you're making for yourself, not for everyone else. Like your friends, the people like me would be just gutted that you're not leaning in because you're worrying about my life. It's twisted and it's messed up and it's hurting you. Ask for help, all of us. Okay, flying through. I'm not flying through. I'm flying through time, apparently. Another challenge that kind of comes up, especially in business, is the whole making a plan. People don't know where they're going. They're muddling through their businesses. There's no end goal. There's no concrete definition of, yep, I've done that, so this is next. Strategy Day is brilliant for that. I swear, if you haven't been on Strategy Day yet, come. The next one's in January. But making a plan, if you don't have goals, you're just floating. You're not running a business. You're kind of just hobbying it by, maybe making enough money to keep it sustainable, but not learning how to make it work for you. And when I talked about it's taken 8 years for me to get to where I am, I've had plans throughout the way, and I've had times where I haven't had plans, and I can see the difference, like crystal clear. I can see the difference. So a lot of this is about kind of mapping out the potential scenarios and your key decisions around them. Like, what are you aiming for next? Try to visualize like what you're creating and map out how on earth you're going to get there. Because having that plan to follow, if you then follow it, and we've got some accountability going on from Strategy Day, is the thing that takes you from almost hobby business to actual making money business and actually working for yourself, because that's a really, really different thing. I hope so, Anisha. We did miss you on this one. And the first one was so good. Another kind of a bit of a tip on the whole plan thing is almost don't leave everything entirely to technology. And that's a weird one for me because I am such a passionate advocate of technology. Like doing a live like this and being able to talk to you all is not possible in real life. But get some real life stuff in as well. Part of your plan, like I like small, intimate, real life stuff. Hence Strategy Day. I do not like giant look at me live stuff, because to me that's such a load of crap and you're not helping people. It's figuring out how to not rely entirely on technology, making sure you have a plan in place if your tech goes down. Yeah, the technology one's just a funny thing because we spend so much time investing in that stuff. We forget the absolute necessity of pen on paper, get some ideas out of my head, then organize them and then get them in a plan. That pen on paper thing just can't be beaten at times. Although I'm now laughing because I'm now pen on my Remarkable and there's no paper inside. But it's still the same feeling, which is the whole reason I bought it in the first place. And just one last little bit on this is, it's really stupid, but it ties into the plan stuff, is make sure you have everything in the cloud and backed up, because there's a few people recently that have lost things for not doing that. Get a Dropbox, get a OneDrive, put everything in there, make it easy and accessible. Thanks, Jen. Strategy Day was brilliant. I can't wait to see where you're at with your plan. That getting to meet other like-minded women is, again, highly underestimated as how powerful that can be in the day, because you see that you're not alone. You have absolute proof that everybody, so many people, feel how you felt or did feel how you felt till they made a change. And that's been the lovely thing about having people at different levels, is you can learn from them all, and it's just fab. Going back to asking for help, so I put it as kind of a bottom part of the staying positive, but to deal with challenges anyway, as a whole, asking for help is like the most crucial part. Delegate some of your stuff where you can. That's not always possible, but you can do skill swaps with people if necessary sometimes. It's taken 8 years for me to hire a consistent employee. So Jade left her job to come work for me. I've had VAs over the past time and they help, but this is the time when it's got like really useful. But the asking for help goes kind of to more than that. Ask for help with childcare if you're at the stage where you've got little kids. My mother-in-law used to come down and look after my kids once a week so that I could do some form of work, like before school. The asking for help bit is really important, but get clear on what help you actually need, because sometimes it was I didn't know what I wanted. I was overwhelmed. It was too stressful. I had all these plans and ideas and stuff to do, but I didn't know what I needed. And actually what I needed was some time away from my kids in quiet to be able to figure out what the hell was next. You've got to ask for help, but you've got to know what help you actually need. Because sometimes our asking for help just comes across like moaning or being down or whatever. Sometimes it's just, I need someone to give me 2 hours free time. It's not always possible. I need someone to show me exactly how to add this lead magnet to my mailer list. You've got to know exactly what you're asking for at the time. And yeah, where you can, delegate some stuff to someone. Like I said, you could do skill swaps. You can arrange little accountability days where you could work together for a day or a few hours, and one of you could do the other one's email list while one of you does something else that you're good at. I don't know. I'd love some little pod working days where we could all kind of help each other. But yeah, this asking for help and delegating is dead important. Having an online community for when you're stuck in your business, when you're dealing with your own personal challenge. It's that when I talk about ask for help, lean in. This is literally what I've created this for. Don't neglect your physical and mental health. It's the first thing that drops off every single time. Every single time your business isn't doing what you want it to do, physical and mental health is it's the first thing to go. You'll stop exercising, you'll stop doing the stuff that keeps you well, or you'll spiral into anxiety. Even then, ask for help. Just say, I've stopped doing all this stuff. So lots of us can kind of underpin and support you to go back out for a walk if it is that simple. And sometimes it is that simple. But kicking our own ass is really, really hard because we are full of perfectly valid excuses not to do the stuff that would help us. My very last one is, so when you're dealing with challenges, make time for your friends and family. And this doesn't seem like it directly addresses a challenge, but when I'm talking about this, I am talking about the friends and the family who support you. It's almost irrelevant whether they understand what you do or understand why. It's that they support you anyway. My mum might got a clue what I do, like genuinely no idea. But she believes I can do it regardless of whether she knows what it is or not. Surround yourself with the loved ones who want to see you achieve your dreams, who you can say stuff to about how hard it is, and instead of them sort of throwing it back and saying, oh, you don't even work a 9-to-5 job, you don't know what it's like, find the ones who say, yeah, I imagine it is really hard, and just love you for that and nothing else. Their support can be so massively energizing, and it's really important you set aside time to see your support network, because a business can consume you. You can get sucked into only seeing things from your point of view and really forget to look outside a little bit. A WhatsApp link version for what? Katie. And yes, we absolutely are, Anisha. I have a 1:00 client, but I'm entirely free till then. So I will see you after the school run. So me and Nisha will go for a walk, which we've promised to do for a year longer. And can I just explain how we will both feel when we come home from that? It's just we won't even necessarily be business talking, but it will naturally flow because we're both business owners. But I will report back how I feel after that because it's massive. I used to walk with Louisa every weekend for so many reasons. We haven't done it for ages, and we're going Wednesday morning. How I come back from that is just buzzing and busy and ready to go with life again, because these are people who get it, are similar and yet different, but yeah, they just are full of support, and me to them. All right, so any challenges that I haven't dealt with that you want any advice on while I'm here? But if there's nothing else, let me know in the comments if you watch this on replay and you want something else. What's that link to the strategy day? I just can't see how it would work online, because the whole beauty of it is that we're all in a room together. You're going to have to save up and get the train eventually when you can walk properly. Yeah, I'd love to run something virtually like that. But the powerfulness of that is that we're all in a room. And there will be workarounds, but it just won't be the same. And I wouldn't enjoy doing it as much, I don't think. So we'll see. Right, if there's no questions, I shall get on with my day. I will stop tidying up and I will do some actual freaking work, because I have a huge list of work that I want to achieve, including the email marketing course that I don't keep talking about because I keep not recording videos. I've done some of the videos, in fact, but then I did have a planning day the other day. And by planning day, I mean my kid woke me up at 4 a.m. And so I got up because I couldn't go back to sleep. Now I don't know where I put it. And I mapped out all of the modules for it. And there were loads, look. So before I was recording it without actually mapping it out. So there is loads to record. So I shall go and actually kick my own ass and get on with that. Right, have a lovely, lovely Monday. Have a great week. And Nisha, I will see you on Friday. Everyone else, let me know if you need anything in the meantime. Lean in for help. Recognise that it's one of the easiest ways to deal with your challenges. There's no need to go and learn everything yourself. Use someone who knows stuff. And if I don't know it, I'll either help you find out, or I will see if I can pull someone in who does know it. All right. You're so welcome, my darling. Pull your strategy plan out. Stick to it. Whenever you're feeling stressed, go back to the reason that you are doing everything. All right. Have a great week, and I will talk to you later.